Good morning to all my kindergarten friends. It's Mrs. Rogers here. And today for literacy, we are going to do a short activity. We're going to do some sentence writing today. And we're going to focus on a topic that I actually just read a book about with my class. And that topic is the season that we're in. Can anyone tell me what our season is right now? Think about that for a moment. Yes, we are in the season of spring. And in the season of spring, there's lots of changes that happen. Sometimes we have some really yucky weather, kind of like we're having today with all our rain and wind. But sometimes we have really beautiful days where the weather is sunshiny and bright and cool, but warm enough that you can go outside and explore and kind of do all kind of fun things. So today, I wanted to talk to you about something that you like to do in the spring weather. And we're going to write a little bit about what that activity is. So, first, before we talk about that or start our writing, I'm going to show you some activities that I think are great springtime activities. And I know it's hard to think about being outside today because the weather's so yucky, but I want you to think about what those 2 weekend days that we just had were. They were sunshiny and they were bright and you could be outside. So kind of get your mind into that sunshiny springtime weather. Ready? Think about it for a minute. Okay. So I want to show you some activities that many children do in the spring. And these might be some things that you do. And I want you to think about something that you really like to do at that time. Okay. So let's take a look at this first picture. What are these children doing? Yeah, they're flying a kite. And sometimes spring weather is a really great time because we do get some very windy, blustery days. But kite flying is an activity that you might have done that you might like to do in the spring. So you can think about if you've done that before and if you really liked it, okay, and if it was one of your favorite things to do in the spring. But here's another activity that I was thinking that some of you might like to do. This little girl's playing soccer with her friends. It looks like she's got an older sister or brother behind them. Playing soccer is something that you might like to do outside in the spring. I know that right now it's a little bit tough because our soccer teams are not getting together, but it might be something that you really enjoy. So that could be something that you choose to write about today. Here's another activity that's perfect for springtime. Yeah, riding bikes. I think riding bikes is probably a lot of my friends' favorite activity to do because you can go with your family, you can go with friends. Of course, you have to be really safe when you do that. You have to wear a helmet, but it's a good activity to get your body moving outside. Here's one more to share with you. Going to the playground. And many of you may visit Sipican's playground or some of the other playgrounds in town. And that might be something fun that you like to do in the spring. There's lots of different activities that you can do. I'm going to show you one activity that I like doing in the spring. And I'm just going to show you the picture and see if you can tell me what you think it is. Yes, I like planting flowers in the spring. I love to see all the bright colors and watch flowers bloom all around my house. So this is an activity that I really like to do in the spring, and this is what I am going to write about today. So I hope I gave you some good ideas about things that you can think about and write about. I'm going to give you a sentence starter, and it's going to sound just like this. In the spring, I like to, and then you're going to finish that sentence. But we're going to try writing the whole sentence because in that, there's a lot of sight words that you know and that you're really familiar with and that you've practiced and probably know how to write already. So I'm going to get my board, and today you're going to help me write, in the spring, I like to plant flowers. Okay? In the spring, I like to plant flowers. Let's count how many words that is. In the spring, I like to plant flowers. I'm going to need 8 words for that sentence. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that I'm not writing too big, and I'm going to start from the left and go to the right, okay? And I want you to, oh, we have a visitor in the background. I want you to think about the very first letter of my sentence. Should it be uppercase? Should it be lowercase? You think about it. It should be uppercase. We always start our sentences with uppercase letters, and all the other letters in the sentence are going to be lowercase. So my first word is the word in. Okay, so I'm going to start with I-N, in. Uppercase I, lowercase n. So I'm going to start just about here. I'm going to go down, up, and a hump. I have the word in. So my next word is the. So I'm going to leave a little finger space. We've talked about this before with Mrs. Rogers' class. We use spacemen, and that just leaves a nice space between your first word and your next word. So my next word is the. In the. Who can help me with the? T-H-E, that's right. So I'm going to start right about here, and I'm going to start at the top because we always start at the top, and go down and cross, okay? T, very good. H, down, up, and a hump, and an E. This was Mrs. Santos' favorite letter to write. Out, up, and around. Okay, so we have in the. Okay, so my next word is spring. My next word is spring. That's when I'm going to stretch like bubble gum. Okay, spring. Will you stretch it with me? Here we go. What do you hear first? I hear an S. Okay, so we're going to write a lowercase s. See how I left that space in between the word the and the starting of spring? Okay, let's do the second sound we hear. Sp, sp. What did you hear? Sp, p, p. Yes, that's going to be a P. So I'm going to start down, up, and around. All right, let's see if we hear any other sounds with that. Spur, spur. Did you hear an R? Excellent job. Down, up, and half a hump. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if my friends remember, but Mrs. Rogers had said that when we hear ing at the end of a word, there's 3 letters together that build that sound. Ing. And I'm hearing ing at the end of spring. Let's think about that for a minute. Ing. I wonder if anybody remembers. I know what it is. It's I-N-G. And anytime you hear ing at the end of a word, you're going to have I-N-G. Okay? So I hear ing at the end of spring. I'm going to write I-N-G. Okay. So I have my first 3 words. I have in the spring, but I'm running out of room over here. So that means I have to come back down underneath and start on the left again for my next word. In the spring, I. We all know how to write the word I. It's just an uppercase I. Excellent. I'm going to go back and reread because it's always good to make sure that you're getting all your words in. In the spring, sorry, boys and girls, my doggy's barking in the background. Like. Let's think about like. Let's think about like and how we write that. Just ignore all that barking. Like. L-I-K-E. Like. I like. Okay, so let's go back and reread again. In the spring, I like. Who remembers what my next word should be? In the spring, I like to. To is my next word. Let's think about to and how we're going to write the word to. Think about tapping it on your arm. To. Here comes my troublemaker in the background. I'm going to write T. Oh, that's right, T-O. Okay, I'm going to go back and reread again. In the spring, I like to plant. Plant. That's when we have to stretch out. Plant. So let's do it really slow. Let's do that first sound. Plant. Yes, it's a P. Okay, I'm going to make my P. Pull. Pull. What do you hear? Pull. Excellent. It's an L, and I'm going to start that at the top and go straight down. Plan. I wonder if you heard what I just heard. Plan. Plan. Does anybody hear "an" inside of plant? I heard "and," so I'm going to write "an." I wonder if you remember how to do that. A-N. An. Okay, now I'm going to try to write my last sound. I'm going to stretch it really far again. Plant. Plant. Excellent. I heard that T too. Okay, so now I have, in the spring, I like to plant flowers. That's going to be my last word. Flowers. Let's think of that first sound we hear. There she goes again. It's an F. Excellent job. Flowers. Let's do the next sound. Full. I'm hearing an A again. Flow. Flow. Do you notice anything with the shape of my mouth when I say that? Flow. What do you think it could be? I'm going to say it really slow again. Flow. Are you hearing w? W? Okay. I'm hearing that too. So I think I'm going to write what I think that letter might be. I'm going to write W. Flow. Because that's what I'm hearing. Okay. Now I'm going to stretch it again. Flowers. That's what I'm hearing too, boys and girls. So I'm going to write an R. And now I'm going to get to my ending sound. Flowers. Yes, like snake. S. Excellent. And now a good writer, when they're done writing their sentence, always ends it with a period that tells the reader to stop. So I'm going to put a tiny little dot. There's my period. So now I'm going to read you my sentence again. In the spring, I like to plant flowers. In the spring, I like to plant flowers. Okay. So now it's going to be your turn. I'd like you to think about something you like to do in the spring. And I want you to use that sentence starter. In the spring, I like. And then I want you to think about that fun activity that you like to do in the spring. And I want you to finish your sentence. And what I'd like you to do, if when you're done writing, is maybe draw a picture that shows you doing that fun activity. So, for instance, Mrs. Rogers would draw me in my yard, digging in the dirt and maybe putting in some tulip bulbs or other flowers that I think are really pretty. So if you're a friend who likes to go for a bike ride in the spring, you draw a picture of yourself riding your bike. And I can't wait to see your work. So first, work on your sentence with your sentence starter. In the spring, I like to. And then finish that thought. And then include a picture with your writing. Because remember, we try to illustrate our writing too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do at home. And Mrs. Rogers is including some special writing paper that your special grown-ups and moms and dads can print out if they like. But if not, I didn't have any special writing paper. I just used my whiteboard. And if you don't have a whiteboard, you can use just regular notebook paper or scrap paper that you have. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do. And I hope you enjoyed this activity. I can't wait to see your work. Have a great day, boys and girls.